Hello guys, it's Teenage DC Fan back in another video, and a lot has happened since we last checked in with the Pierce family, mainly Crisis on Infinite Earths, and as this episode begins, Black Lightning is of course ecstatic over his experience saving the multiverse alongside the other CW heroes, mostly about how Superman is real. As he's flying over the city of Freeland, he's explaining his adventure, Superman is real and all that cool stuff to Gambi over the communication systems. But he's not getting any response. So when Jefferson Pierce was last in Freeland, the sky had turned red and everyone was freaking out. But no one remembers that now, and after he reunites with Jennifer, it becomes clear that they are the only two people who even vaguely remember the events of Crisis. I don't really know how Jennifer knows, if she was there too. Shouldn't she have been in Crisis? But, oh well. But Gambi doesn't remember either of them even leaving. He didn't know that they were even gone. But since Freeland, it still has its whole host of its own problems, Crisis discussion is tabled for now and is back to business as usual. So Lynns' green light addiction has been bubbling in the background of Black Lightning ever since we first learned that Agent Odell had her thing spiked with the extremely addictive drug, but now it's an unavoidable problem. So when Jennifer walks into her mom's lab, the slight surprise is enough to get Lynn to drop her last sample of green light, which of course causes her to melt down in absolutely hysterical fashion right in front of Jennifer. And if this outburst seems a little out of character for Lynn to you, well, it does to Jennifer as well. So she ends up calling her dad and tells him to talk to her mom, which he does in a pretty intense scene, actually. Having worked with troubled kids, Jefferson Pierce knows addiction when he sees it, and isn't accepting any of Lynn's crazed justifications. Her frantic physicality is a little harder to deal with, culminating in her full-on slapping him when he tries to stop her from scooping discarded drugs out of the toilet. This scene was very emotional, but also really cool at the same time. You don't see this type of thing, especially on superhero shows, very often. So it was cool to see something like this. But unfortunately, Jefferson gets a call from Henderson telling him to suit up and help them rescue some kids, which allows Lynn to flee to who knows where. So she's basically left him, but she's still addicted, so maybe when she's not addicted, she won't be as cuckoo. But before that operation commences, we get another testy exchange between Black Lightning and Blackbird, and at this point, Jefferson and Anissa arguments feel like such a core component of Black Lightning. There's honestly hard to imagine them ever going away, but at least there's a little bit of progress in this one. Although Jefferson is still an overprotective parent hung up on his daughter's past mistakes, Anissa convinces him to let her take the lead, and she actually turns out to be right. At one point during the mission, Black Lightning wants to take the group right, while Blackbird orders them left. And the right direction turns out to be swarming with ASA soldiers, and Anissa skillfully guides Black Lightning in the best use of her powers to stop them. And the sight of Henderson's cops battling and arresting federal troops rather than just feigning ignorance is an interesting dynamic too. Jennifer, meanwhile, spends most of this episode with her friend Brandon trying to stop his powers from causing an earthquake because he's passed out or asleep or something, and he's making earthquakes because he can't completely control his powers yet. But just as she gets him under control, they both get shot with some kind of knockout syringe, and I'm not usually one to get hung up on whether something is realistic on these shows or not. But from what I understand, the reason bullets can be shot through glass is that they are made of really hard metal. But shooting a syringe through a window, though, it doesn't feel like an open needle would survive that impact and stay intact enough to pierce skin. But what do I know? I'm just a teenager. Yeah. So in any case, Jennifer and Brandon aren't down for long, and when they wake up in an ASA truck with control collars on, which are basically like meta dampeners, it doesn't take Jennifer long to blast them out, which kind of doesn't make sense because, like I said, they're like meta dampeners, so you'd think she wouldn't be able to use her powers, but then she is. But after they get out of there, she comes face to face with Agent Odell and definitively tells him she's done working for him, and she's inspired by seeing the dark timeline version of herself murder her family on his orders. But when she blasts him with her electricity lightning energy, turns out it's just a hologram. So their final reckoning will have to wait. And while all of this is going on, of course we have TC, who's the young metahuman that can talk to computers and technology, basically. So the ASA is hunting metahumans. So TC doesn't have a home. He doesn't have parents or anything. So he needs a place to hide. And he met Gamby in one of the last few episodes before I think it was the last episode before Crisis. And so he knows Gamby, but they kind of parted ways in that episode. So he uses radio tracking stuff or whatever to find out where Gamby is, and like that's supposed to be like an impossible thing to do, but he does it, and he finds Gamby, but Gamby decides to take him in, give him a place to stay for now. He can live in the apartment up above his shop until he can, go out on his own and be an independent man or whatever. So while he's staying there in his little underground bunker that Gamby has, he's talking to the technology, and then he ends up finding Black Lightning, Thunder, and Lightning suits. So this is where he finds out that Gamby not only works with metahumans, but he works with Black Lightning and his daughters. So then, of course, Gamby explains to him that, this is a serious thing. You have to keep this a secret. You can't tell anybody. And I thought this was really sad. Like, how TC said, "You're all I have. It's not like I have anyone else to tell." And that's really sad, because, he just met Gamby, and he's the only friend he has. The only person he has in his life. And he just met him, like, the day before or something. But then TC comes up with the idea that he wants to help Gamby figure out who hired the hit on him, because back in the beginning of the season, somebody tried to kill Gamby, and so the whole world thinks that Gamby is dead. So he's kind of just living in his secret bunker down there. But while TC is doing his computer talking to figure out who it was, he gets hungry, so then Gamby goes to make him a sandwich or something, and when he comes back with the sandwich all made, ready to go to be eaten, TC is laying there on the ground. He's not dead. I think he's just passed out or something, and of course, Gamby goes to save him, make sure he's okay. I'm not sure what's gonna happen there. Gamby mentions that he knows someone that can help him. Not sure who that is, but it'll be interesting to find out. But then, as the camera pans away, you see that TC did figure out who hired the hit, and their image is displayed on screen. And the image is Lady Eve. Now, if you've been watching Black Lightning, Lady Eve is a character that was on, actually I don't remember, was it last season or the season before, something like that, but she was a villain, of course. I actually kind of think it was season 1, maybe, but she's dead, or at least she was dead, but now because of the Crisis, there's so many changes on all these shows because of the effects of Crisis, and now apparently Lady Eve is alive again. So that's interesting. And that's basically what happened in the episode. This was overall a good episode. I like the tie-ins to Crisis and, all that good stuff there. So I enjoyed that. But one more thing before I finish off this video about this episode for Black Lightning is that we have an exit for this show, because this is the last season for Chief Henderson. He will not be returning for season 4, and that's sad because he's been there since the beginning, and it's gonna be weird seeing him not on here. But just a couple days ago, Damon Gupton announced his exit from Black Lightning. So yeah, this is the end. And he's actually wrapped filming for the whole series, like his whole part. He announced this via Twitter, that his time on the Black Lightning series has come to an end. So he's played this character since the series debuted in January 2018. And the tweet says, "And that's a wrap. My final night on the set of Black Lightning. In December, before Christmas, I was told Chief Henderson is not in the plans for season 4 and that I would be let go. My love to a hell of a hard-working crew. Big prayers to cast, writers, producers, staff, CW, Warner Brothers. # Black Lightning."